My father body shamed me in front of our entire family, bringing me to tears. In that moment, I gave him a harsh reality check, telling him that I never wanted to see him again. Throughout my life, my father has always made jokes about my body, despite the fact that I'm 110 pounds at 5F, while he's 240 pounds at 5A. He finds it amusing to belittle me about my weight. When I first introduced my boyfriend to him, he loudly expressed surprise that anyone would date me. The worst part is that he knows how much his words have affected me in the past. When I was a senior in high school, I confided in my school's counselor about how my father's comments were hurting me, but she just laughed in my face, telling me I was delusional and suggesting that if I had self-image issues, I needed to be admitted to a ward. Yesterday, I went to my parents' house for a family gathering. As soon as I arrived, my father started making fun of me, pointing out how my thighs jiggle and how my stomach folds when I sit. I was already on the verge of tears, but his next remark pushed me over the edge. He asked, "How do you even have a boyfriend? Is he into whales or something? I mean, can he even find the hole that was the moment I lost it?" Through tears, I stood up and started screaming at him. I shouted, "You weigh more than twice what I do. Your gut rests on your thighs and you're insulting me. What kind of father are you? I hate you." He was stunned, staring at me with his mouth agape, before finally responding, "Excuse me, I am your father, and you will respect me. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even be alive right now." By this point, I was crying uncontrollably and asked him what he got out of humiliating his own daughter in front of everyone. Instead of taking responsibility, he just brushed me off, saying that he was only joking and that I needed to stop being so serious. He added that I couldn't help how my body turned out and once again told me to stop being dramatic and accept that it was just a joke. I couldn't stay there any longer, so I left the house immediately, tears streaming down my face as I drove home. When I got back to my apartment, my boyfriend immediately knew something was wrong. As soon as he asked what had happened, I broke down and told him everything: how my father had humiliated me in front of everyone, how he kept mocking my weight, and the disgusting comment he made about my boyfriend being into whales. My boyfriend's face turned red with anger as I recounted the events, and I could see his fists clenching. I had never seen him so furious. He hugged me tightly, telling me over and over that I didn't deserve any of that my father was completely out of line, and that I was perfect just the way I was. While it felt good to be held, the pain of what had happened still lingered. He pulled back and looked me in the eyes, barely keeping his composure. "I can't believe he'd say that to you. How could he be so cruel? You're beautiful, and you deserve so much better than this." He then told me he wanted to confront my father. "I want to talk to him. He can't keep treating you like this," he said. But I shook my head, wiping away my tears. "No, please don't. It'll only make things worse. He won't listen to you, and I don't want to create more drama. I just want to forget about it for a while, please." He sighed but nodded. "All right, if that's what you want. But promise me, if he ever says anything like that again, you'll tell me right away. I can't stand the thought of him hurting you like this." I nodded and hugged him again, feeling completely lost and unsure of what to do next. Update 1. As per my boyfriend's request, I sat down with my father to try and talk to him again. It ended up being the same as all the other times. My partner's father had heard about what was happening, but he had never witnessed it firsthand until yesterday. My parents came over to visit, unaware that my partner's parents were also there. It was supposed to be a simple visit to plan my 21st birthday. But my dad didn't care that there was a new audience member. He immediately started his usual joking around. I was wearing a pair of tights, or leggings as some might call them, because my sweatpants were dirty. I rarely wear tight clothes because they only give my father more fuel for his insults. As I was making coffee, he shouted, "Why are your thighs jiggling like that? Do you actually train?" My mother laughed like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. Then I heard a loud smack, followed by my dad yelping. That's something common between my parents. They playfully hit each other, but it usually only happens in front of others. My future in-laws didn't say anything, but I could see the confusion and annoyance on their faces. After a few more pinches and snide comments from my father, My partner's dad finally lost it. He began berating my dad, calling him a pathetic excuse for a father. He told my dad that he had no idea how to raise a child and that it was sick to think it was okay to treat his daughter this way. He made it clear that my father had damaged me mentally, to the point where I just accepted it. He even mentioned how many times his son had to hold me as I cried myself to sleep over one of my dad's cruel jokes. This confrontation went on for what seemed like an eternity, and soon my partner joined in. The attention then shifted to my mother, who tried to switch sides, but my partner's mother wasn't having it. She's a good woman, but she has a fierce side that you definitely don't want to upset. She ended up telling them that they either apologize and get out, or they no longer have a daughter. My parents apologized, but my dad still couldn't see why his jokes were wrong. To him, it was just what fathers do. I was crying the whole time, not because of the fight, but because I knew deep down how pointless it all was. I was proven right when my dad came back today and handed me a bag with holes cut into it. He said, "I got your birthday outfit. You won't actually fit into a dress, so I got this bin bag for you. I even made the holes bigger for your arms and thighs too. Make sure to wear a belt." I just froze, holding the bag and focusing on the smirk on his face as he drove away. Later on, I received a message from him about some of my writing and art that he had found. He mocked me for wishing I could be as perfect as the characters I create. He's right, I do wish I could be that perfect, that confident, that normal. But I'm not. I'm a screw-up. And he made that clear. He made sure to let me know that I'll never be as good, that I don't have the gene that's been passed down through generations. Update 2: I made my dad a gift basket with a note, since he loves to read what I write so much but won't bother listening in person. This is what I wrote to him. "Dear Dad, since you like my writing so much, I decided to take the time to spell this out for you. This basket contains many options to help you. I've noticed your body has lost its good shape and is honestly just not pleasing to look at, so I included several workout pamphlets and contact information for personal trainers in the basket, hoping that one in particular might help with your stomach issues. I can only imagine your frustration at having a daughter who is fitter than you, especially since you seem to enjoy taking your frustrations out on me. I also highly recommend reviewing the therapist contacts I included. It might be beneficial for both you and Mom, as her inability to stand up for herself means she lets awful people walk all over her. For your information, at 110 lbs for a woman who is 5', I am in a healthy range, though I am on the lower end of normal. In contrast, 240 lbs for a man in his 50s who barely reaches 5', is concerningly overweight. It would be wise for you to address this issue before someone starts mocking you about it. It's not a pleasant situation. Putting pleasantries aside, this will be the last time you hear from me. This will be the last time I refer to you as Mom and Dad. Since I have all my documents, I no longer need to communicate with you. Your names have been removed from the guest list for my 21st birthday party, which you so graciously declined to help fund. If you show up, I will have you escorted off the premises by the police. If you attempt to visit my new home or follow me to the store, I will call the police. Should this behavior continue, I will file a restraining order against both of you. If you want to understand the reasons behind this decision, you will have to figure it out on your own. It's quite obvious, but given your focus on trying to break me, I doubt you will ever understand. Yes, you brought me into this world, but you are not my parents. I have a new family now, and you will never be part of it. Please, take my advice and seek help. This is not a joke. Yours truly. I know the note was rushed and short, but it was all I could manage at the time. My aunt's phone has been ringing off the hook, but she has ignored and blocked their numbers. She has also informed the rest of our family about what happened and why. As far as I know, they have been berated and disowned, which fills me with a bit of pride. Update 3: After sending the letter, I experienced a mix of relief and anxiety. I was proud of finally standing up to them, but also scared of what might come next. Days passed in silence from their end, and I hoped they had finally received the message. However, on the day of my 21st birthday party, as I was focusing on enjoying myself, surrounded by friends, my boyfriend, and his supportive family, things took a turn. We had rented a small hall, and everyone was laughing, eating, and dancing. I was starting to feel like I could enjoy the night without interruptions, but just as we were about to cut the cake, I noticed my boyfriend's mom whispering to him and nodding towards the entrance. Following her gaze, my stomach sank. There they were, my parents, standing at the doorway, as if they had every right to be there. My dad had a facade of calm and friendliness, but I could see through it. My mom clung to his arm, looking nervous and unsure. My hands began to shake, and I quickly looked away, hoping they wouldn't come in and ruin the evening. Before I could react, my boyfriend approached them with a stern expression. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but he was shaking his head and gesturing toward the exit. My dad started arguing back, his voice rising. A few of my friends exchanged worried glances, and my aunt, who had been sitting with her husband, got up and moved toward them. The next moments felt like a blur. My dad was yelling about how they were my parents and had every right to be there. My boyfriend's dad tried to intervene and defuse the situation, but my dad only grew louder, insisting they had come to apologize and that I was being ungrateful. By this point, everyone at the party was watching, and I felt nauseous. I noticed my boyfriend's mom pull out her phone, and within minutes, 2 security guards entered the hall, likely having been nearby because they arrived so quickly. One of the guards approached my dad, trying to calm him down and explain that he was causing a disturbance and needed to leave. My dad, of course, refused to cooperate and ranted about how they had no right to remove him from his own daughter's birthday party. The security remained composed, repeating that if he didn't leave voluntarily, they would have to escort him out. My mom, who had been silent up until now, suddenly started crying, begging them to let them stay. She said they only wanted to talk and make things right, but it was too late for that. The damage had already been done. The security gave them one last warning, and when my dad still refused to leave, they took him by the arm and led him out of the hall. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, and I wanted to disappear. Seeing the pity on some of their faces only made things worse. My boyfriend returned to my side, wrapping his arms around me and whispering that it was going to be okay, that I didn't have to worry about them anymore. But the night was already ruined. I tried to smile and enjoy the rest of the party, but it was hard to shake the feelings of embarrassment and anger. The next day, while I was home alone, I heard a knock at the door. I peeked through the peephole and saw my parents standing outside. I really didn't want to deal with them, but I knew they wouldn't just go away. I opened the door a crack, enough to let them know I was there, but not enough for them to come inside. "What do you want?" I asked. "We just want to talk," my dad said. "We're sorry," my mom added, looking at the ground. "We didn't mean to cause a scene. We just wanted to apologize and see you." I shook my head. "It's too late for that. You can't just show up whenever you want and expect everything to be okay." "Please, honey," my dad said, his tone scolding. "We're your family. You can't just shut us out like this."